What's up, guys? So last video I gave you guys some heavy metal style riffs in the key of F sharp minor, and at the end of that video I asked you guys if you wanted me to make a video in that same key for acoustic, and the reason is because there's just some really cool sounds that come out of this specific key on acoustic if you play it a certain way. Now, this video is not going to have any fancy editing, just really organic and just kind of like us sitting down to chat and playing some acoustic together. And I want to be able to go through the process here as I'm playing. I want to be able to kind of explain what I'm doing along the way. So let's start out with just a typical F sharp minor chord on acoustic. You would normally play that as a bar chord, like this here. So that sounds cool and all, but one of the problems with that and just bar chords on acoustic in general is, for one, your hand's going to get kind of tired, because for F sharp minor, you're barring the entire fretboard with that one finger there on the second fret. So if you were playing out, for example, if you're playing a full song and maybe you've got other songs in that key, your hand's gonna get a little tired. Of course, you can build up dexterity and all that, but that's gonna get a little tiring. So I'm gonna show you another way to play that chord that's gonna sound a lot cooler, in my opinion. But first, before I do that, let's go over some of the other just typical and basic chords that's gonna be involved in playing F sharp minor. Now, of course, you can play more chords than what I'm about to show you, but I'm just gonna show you the typical ones, okay? So we're gonna go from F sharp minor. We also have an A in that progression. Nice open chord there, very much an acoustic chord, if you will. We also have an E that can be played in there. Again, very nice open. When I say open, I mean we're hitting some of those open strings. So that A, we're hitting an open A string and an open E string. Same thing for the E chord that we just played, okay? We're hitting an open E string, and then actually those last two strings are open, the B and E. Now, another chord that has some open notes in there, open strings rather, is the D. That fits in that F sharp minor progression as well. There's another typical chord that's played in this progression, and that would be a B minor. Now, the B minor, like the F sharp minor, we're also playing a bar chord. Now, there's another way you can play that, of course, but to get that full effect of the B minor, you're having to bar, again, that second fret with that one finger. Okay, so now that we've got just some of the basic chords, and again, there's other chords you can play in this progression, of course, but I wanted to go over just the basic ones, and I'm going somewhere with this, and I think you're gonna like this. I hope so anyway. So let's go back to the F sharp minor. I wanna show you the way I play an F sharp minor. Most of the time I play an F sharp minor, especially on acoustic. So again, our chord. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play that same chord, but I'm gonna leave these last two strings open. The B and E are gonna be open. All right? Now, how I'm gonna do that is I'm not gonna actually play that first note, which would be that first string, the E string, second fret. That's what you'd start out with. So we're gonna skip that note on this, and we're gonna go right into starting with the fifth note in that chord, which is okay, don't worry, it's still gonna sound cool. It's still gonna sound like an F sharp minor. So instead of barring that entire fretboard, okay, we're actually gonna open it up a little bit, and I'm gonna take my last two fingers here, and I'm gonna place those on those frets, on the fourth fret of the A and the D string like I normally would. However, again, we're not barring that first note and the entire fretboard. So start out with these two strings here. You're skipping the E string, you're going straight to the A and D on the 4th fret. Now you're going to take your first finger and you're going to go G string 2nd fret. Okay, so as you can see, or hear rather, you've got those notes in there that make up the F sharp minor. Normally you'd play those notes, but again, we're just skipping that first string. Now, the next piece to this, and this is pretty simple here, but it's what makes this chord sound so cool, and it's why I love it so much. We are going to hit those B and E strings at the bottom open. So you're gonna do this. Just practice that. You can arpeggiate, or if you want to strum it. Now, one thing real quick, you will sometimes, probably by accident, hit that E string when you're strumming that F sharp minor, playing it that way. That was with me hitting that. This is with me not. I think that's okay some of the time if you accidentally hit that E string. It doesn't quite go with the chord. It adds a little bit different sound, but most of the time, and I say this because I've played F sharp minor, a lot of songs in F sharp minor live, and sometimes playing live, standing up and singing, you know, you're going to hit chords or notes rather that maybe you're not supposed to. It's not always perfect. But one thing you can do, you can kind of take your middle finger there if you don't want to hit that E string, and you can kind of mute. Kind of make it effy. All right, but you can actually mute that string with your middle finger if you want to do that. I usually don't. I usually just try to wing it, and you know. And you heard that E string, I just hit that by accident just now. If you hit it every now and then, it's probably not that big of a deal. Now, if you're recording in the studio and you want everything to be just perfect, you know, it's another thing. But if you're playing out live, people probably aren't gonna notice. Anyway, that's just a side note. No pun intended. All right, so let's now move on to some of the other chords with playing the F sharp minor that way. So let's talk about those other three chords that have open strings, the A, the E, and the D. So let's integrate that in with that F sharp minor. Now we'll get to the B minor. I'm gonna show you a cool way to play that as well. So hang on for that one. So let's just I'm just gonna randomly pick a progression here involving the 4 chords that we talked about without the B minor. We'll get to that. So cool. All I'm doing there is just going, and again, I just made that up. I have no clue what I'm playing, but that's kind of how it happens. So on this channel with me, you guys know that. Don't worry about learning what I just played, the exact progression. Just play around with playing the F sharp minor with the E and with the A. You can come up with your own progression, because a lot of times I play things and I immediately forget what I just played, like what just happened now. What I'm getting you used to though is playing that F sharp minor in that way, because if you're new to that, hey, there's Mama Cat back there in the background. That's one of our feral cats. We've been taking care of her for a long time, like many years. So she's a really cool cat. Anyway, that's a side note. What I want you to get used to is just playing, not really a particular progression, although you will make up your own progression, because you're gonna start playing with this and you're gonna be like, oh my God, this sounds amazing, it sounds awesome. But you do have to get used to playing that chord that way if you're not used to it, okay? Having those open strings. But just play around with the F sharp minor, E and the A and the D, and just kind of make up your own stuff there. Now what I do with the B minor here, and this is a really simple trick, I'm only changing one note. I'm only altering one string on this, and that's going to be having an open E string. So instead of barring all the way across, I'm going to leave that E string open, okay? And what we're going to do with that, Unlike the F sharp minor, which we eliminated that first note, that F sharp minor note, and we started with the fifth. With the B minor chord, we're actually going to hit that first B minor note. And we're essentially going to do the same thing with our next two notes there, with our third and fourth fingers, and that's going to be on your D and G string, 4th fret. Okay, now we're also going to hit the next normal note, we'll call it, that's in that chord there, which is our B string, 3rd fret. Now that alone sounds cool without that last note. However, again, instead of that last note, which would be your E string, 2nd fret, we're going to leave it open. Wow, and again, I just made that up. That sounded cool. You and I could have written a song just now, throw some lyrics in there, and that would sound really cool. It had that kind of dark and dramatic tone to it. So I could talk about minor chords for days, because most of you guys watching my channel are metal guitar players. Even if you're not, I appreciate you watching my channel, by the way, because I know this is an acoustic lesson, so maybe not all of you watching this particular video are into heavy metal, and that's just fine. But still, that gives you just a different feel as opposed to playing okay. Instead, we're going. It just gives you, again, a different vibe, and it's also, in my opinion, a little bit easier to play, again, when you're just starting out playing these type of chords, when you're altering these chords, from the way you're used to playing them, the bar chords, and you kind of move those fingers around a little bit and add those open notes. It can be a little challenge to get used to that, but I promise if you practice it, you'll get used to it very, very quickly. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you that fits into this F sharp minor progression perfectly, and it actually sounds really cool. So playing in the key of F sharp minor, and then we're going to throw in our B minor. Now the next natural note, right, going up would be the D, or the cool D, the way I play it, Now, typically there's a little walk up that happens, and this is just kind of one of those things, that makes the song and the music magical. You've got that little walk up. Instead of going, you're gonna go. You're hitting that C sharp note right before you get to that D. Now the chord there would be a C sharp minor, and what's cool is you can do the same thing with a C sharp minor as you do with a B minor, leaving that E string open. You're not even going to change your finger configuration here. You're going to keep it the same. Just slide up. Now that sounds cool. You could also take your middle finger off if you wanted to and leave the B and E open. That sounds even more dark and cooler. And the reason I say that though is because if you're playing that 5th fret of the B string, well, that's the same note as your E string. Hey, I'm in tune. So still sounds cool, but if you take that middle finger off, that sounds, I don't know if it sounds cooler, but it sounds good. Okay, so that's just a little trick you can do. So again, let's go B minor and let's do the walk up. Let's play that little riff here. Then we could go to an E, then back to that F sharp minor. Now, I want to show you one more thing. I know I said one more thing last time, but this is just one more thing here. And it involves this C sharp minor chord, because I want to show you another way to play it. Instead of going like this, like we just did, okay, we're going to play this instead. And listen to the difference. Very cool, right? So what we're doing here, we're still playing, and this is a real easy, really easy switcheroo here. And it really is a switcheroo, because we're going to be switching our third and fourth fingers around a little bit, and we're only changing one note. So you're playing the C sharp minor, just playing it the same way. What I'm doing here, though, is you can see our third and fourth fingers are on the 6th fret of the D and G strings. I'm going to move my third finger, because I start with that first. I'm going to move it over to the next string, okay? The 6th fret G string. That frees my pinky up. What I'm doing with the pinky finger is we're just basically switching strings here. I'm going to move my pinky finger over to that D string there, but we're moving up a fret, and it's naturally going to fall into that place anyway. Once you put your third finger on that G string, 6th fret, your pinky finger is freed up. It's naturally, if you place it down onto, like if you just place it down onto that string, onto the A string where your third finger was, it's naturally going to fall into that fret where you want to be, which is the 7th fret. And everything else is the same. And that's how we get that beautiful sound. Listen to this. And then you just go up to that D. And that's your walk up. Very cool. One last thing. Actually, two things real quick. So since we're playing, and this has to do with the D and E, since we're playing that B minor, like that, okay, and my point here is we're playing it on those A and D strings. That's where we're playing our notes at here, okay? We can move that to the C sharp minor, and if you want to play it like this, or like this, either way you want to do it's fine. Your next chord is the D, which we normally play here. But if you want to make it, a little more fluid, you can actually play your D similar to how you play your B minor and your C sharp minor, just like that. So all we're doing there is almost just like playing a power chord, but you're not barring the fretboard with that first finger. All you're doing is just, I'll call it the frets here, is 5, 7, and 7, and you're on your A, D, and G string, and everything else is open. Now, move it up a whole step. You've got your E chord there. Now, when you're playing your E chord, you can hit that top string. So you've got an entire progression there that you can play, just starting on the A and the D string. You can start with an A, go to B minor, your F sharp minor, your D, your E, then back to your F sharp minor. And again, we just made that progression up there. I'm sure it's used somewhere possibly, but I wouldn't know. That's just how we do things here on my channel. We like to make stuff up as we go. Hey, it's more fun that way. Now, there may be some songs or some parts of certain songs where playing the bar chords fits a little better. So you kind of have to like gauge this by the song and what feel and vibe you're going for that song. But I guess my challenge to you though is whenever those bar chords don't sound quite right, because sometimes bar chords sound a little forced on acoustic, if that makes sense. Like you can tell the person's kind of struggling a little bit, but playing with these open strings, it doesn't sound that way. It kind of takes that forced vibe away and opens things up a little bit, or a lot, in my opinion at least. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I hope you guys had fun playing acoustic with me here. If you watched this whole video and you did not have your acoustic in your hand, I encourage you to go grab your acoustic first and then go back and watch this video again and play along with me here and play these chords along as I'm playing, so that you can get used to playing them that way. And I really hope you learned something new today, even if you already knew how to play the F sharp minor, because some of you already know that, but hopefully you still learned something new with some of the other configurations that we went through with the other chords. So again, that's what these videos are all about, to help you. So guys, leave me any questions in the comments. For my metal guitar players, remember I've got the free metal guitar practice guide. That link is in the YouTube description. Now I've got some other links in there as well, so open that description box up and just scroll through those links. Got a lot of good stuff in there. Of course, there are links where you can go listen to my music on Spotify and iTunes and all that, and that really helps me out. By the way, if you're not following me on Spotify, make sure you do that. Again, there's a link to my music in the description as well. It'll take you to my website where you can click the Spotify button. When you head over to Spotify, make sure you follow me, because Spotify will actually send you notifications when I release a new album. And I'm working on a new album right now, and I'm actually possibly working on an acoustic album as well, aside from the metal album that I'm working on. So that's just a quick update. All right, guys, thank you again for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and keep it metal, or I guess in this case, keep it acoustic for today.